Welcome in to this special at-home edition of Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for spending part of your afternoon with us as we are talking all things Russell Wilson and the possibility of him making a return to your Seattle Seahawks. The big news yesterday was that the Denver Broncos were benching Russell Wilson for the remainder of the 2023 NFL season. Well, the Broncos are still technically in playoff contention with a 7-8 record, an outside chance to make the postseason. The controversy was not just the fact that they were benching him, but according to reports that the Broncos had asked Russ to defer some of his injury guarantees to next season back in October, which he declined to do. Fast forward to yesterday afternoon, we get a report from The Athletic's NFL insider Dianna Russini that Russell Wilson will be released by the Denver Broncos come March, that he and Sean Payton just aren't on the same page, and Sean Payton is ready to move on. So now that begs the question, where will Russell Wilson play football in 2024? And a lot of rumblings on the internet over the last few hours. Is there a door? Is there an opening for Russ to make a return to the Seattle Seahawks? And I got to tell you, I've examined this, looked at all different possibilities, and I just don't see an avenue for Russ to make a return back to Seattle. And I have several reasons why this doesn't make sense for the Seattle Seahawks. One, you talk about the money situation here. I know that Russ is not going to get the $49 million per year that he was getting from the Denver Broncos elsewhere. But according to the folks at overthecap.com, who do a really good job of making these money evaluations, they say that he's still worth on the open market about $32 million per year. And for me, Russ, at this point in his career, with the lackluster play we've seen the last two seasons, I don't want to spend $32 million on this version of Russell Wilson, not knowing how much longer he can play at a high level. Or are we going to see the Russ that we saw a couple years ago, his first round in Denver, which just wasn't good at all? So for me, that's not worth throwing $32 million after. The other factor for me is personally, I'm looking at this Seattle Seahawks team and the future of this organization, and what I want to see the Seahawks invest in a young quarterback. This next draft, there is a lot of generational talent. This is the best quarterback class we've seen in years. When you talk about Caleb Williams, Drake May, Shedeur Sanders, Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., J.J. McCarthy, and on and on and on, Quinn Ewers, right? I mean, it is a really good group that we're talking about of these quarterbacks. And if you're the Seattle Seahawks, I still am open to the idea of bringing Geno Smith back next year, but letting him sit under, the next quarterback sit under Geno Smith, learn how the NFL operates, and then take over from there. To me, your plans, your futures, you're trying to rebuild this organization, Russell Wilson doesn't fit that timeline of what you're looking for when it comes to this Seahawks team. The future needs to be investing in a young quarterback. So let me ask you guys. We'll go over some details and some more things I want to talk about here about Russ in just a moment. But what do you guys think? Do you want to see Russell Wilson back in Seattle? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know what you think. Folks, it's my off day, but still had to bring you content here on the channel. If you can do me a favor, subscribe now for free. We're not only bringing you daily content here on Seahawks Today. We have our watch parties each and every game day, live shows, Q&A mailbags, and we're not only going to be live for the Seahawks-Steelers game on Sunday, we're also going to be live for the Washington-Texas Sugar Bowl coming up this weekend as well. So if you're a college football fan, if you want to hang out with the 12s and root on the Huskies, join us on Monday night for our Sugar Bowl watch party live right here on Seahawks Today. Subscribe now for free and help us get to our next milestone here as we try to approach 47,000 subscribers on the channel. All right, now let's go over some numbers here when I look at Russell Wilson. The statistics this year, he was much improved from the quarterback that we saw in 2022. He played a lot better this year. Completion percentage, 66.4%. 3,070 yards, 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Not a bad year for Russ, much improved from what he was last year. But Sean Payton is an offensive guru. He is an offensive genius, one of the best offensive minds that we've seen in the National Football League. And when you look at Sean Payton's offense, of what he has to offer, the Sean Payton offense, there's so many different variables and so many different possibilities that you can run with that offense. And we saw how well Drew Brees excelled in that offense for years in New Orleans, right? And the point of frustration for Sean Payton was that with Russ's limitations, with not having much arm strength anymore, that he couldn't operate the offense the way Sean Payton wanted to be operated, that they were very limited. And the truth of the matter is this, that it's not going to get better before it gets worse. As Russ gets older, that arm strength is only going to deteriorate from here. So if Sean Payton, who is this great offensive mind, can't work with Russ, why should the Seahawks think that they can make Russ work and get back to what he was? To me, that's a major red flag. If Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos would rather pay, what is it, somewhere upwards of $80 million over the next 2 years for Russell Wilson to not be their quarterback, rather than to pay him that money and stay on their roster, that to me is a very bad sign. That's a red flag for me. I'm staying away. We'll get to the Geno equation in just a second. But I want to know from you guys, which quarterback would you rather have? With knowing what we know, Geno's contract is 3 years, $75 million, about $25 million per year. Russ, his value is looking about $32 million per year. At this point in their careers, in the money situation, which quarterback would you rather roll with? Geno or Russ? Type G for Geno, R for Russell Wilson. Let us know in the comment section below. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You choose 2 or more players on any given category. You get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points, passing yards, completion percentage. Maybe you want to do somewhere mixing and matching of some NFL, college football, NBA, whatever it is. Prize Picks has got you covered. This week on Prize Picks, since we have our Washington Huskies watch party coming up this weekend, in addition to our Seahawks watch party, I'm mixing and matching a little bit on Prize Picks. This week, I got Michael Penix Jr. in the Sugar Bowl to have more than 2.5 passing, rushing, or receiving touchdowns, and I got DK Metcalf to have more than 58.5 receiving yards. If those two things hit, then I'm turning $20 and turning it into $60 on Prize Picks. Play along with me. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Get a $100 deposit match on your first entry. Prize Picks, proud partner of Seahawks Today and Chat Sports. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS to play along with me today. All right, let's look at the numbers here for Geno Smith this year. Completion percentage about 65%. Threw over 3,100 yards, 17 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Geno had a down year from what he did last year. But at $25 million per, I can live with that type of year. And we all know that Geno is not the long-term solution. I mean, if we're going to be frank, that's just the fact of the matter, that Geno's not the long-term guy, and that's okay. Geno has been a stopgap quarterback, and he's done exactly what the Seahawks have needed him to do. And we are forever grateful and thankful for what Geno's done for this franchise. Okay? Where Russell Wilson's going, he's not looking to be a 1 or 2 year solution for somebody. Russ still thinks that he's going to go somewhere and be somebody's long-term answer. And there's enough teams that are desperate at the quarterback position where Russ is still going to get another shot elsewhere. Whether it's the likes of Atlanta or Washington or New England, Russ is going to get one more shot to be a long-term starter for somebody else. And the best bet for this Seahawks team, with how they're trying to structure this organization, with the young talent, what they've built through the draft, with how they won that Russell Wilson trade back in March of 2022, their future, if they're going to invest in a young quarterback, it's going to be through the draft. That's going to be their next move. They wanted Anthony Richardson this last draft. He didn't fall to their position where they could get him. That's what I'm looking at for the Seattle Seahawks team. The next quarterback is going to be the future young franchise quarterback. Take advantage of having that quarterback on a rookie contract. Remember, you're going to release Jamal Adams next year, and you already have enough dead money there. With that, you don't want to be spending a ton of money like that again for what Russ is going to require. So I think that's the best scenario for this Seahawks team. Russ's accomplishments, it goes for itself. He won a Super Bowl, 9-time Pro Bowler, Walter Payton Man of the Year, the most important award in the NFL. Russ has accomplished a lot. And, we're thankful for what he did for this franchise, for winning a Super Bowl and everything, but Pete's moved on, John's moved on, this organization has moved on. I hate how the Broncos treated him. In fact, I thought they did him dirty, to be honest. But I don't think it's in the best interest of the Seattle Seahawks to make a move and bring in Russell Wilson. Folks, thanks for joining us here on the channel. Subscribe now for daily Seattle Seahawks coverage. We got you covered each and every day. Subscribe now. Don't forget, join us for our watch parties this weekend. We'll have you covered, and we'll see you next time.